The year was 2445. Earth was quiet now. After centuries of war, humanity had finally found peace. Cities were tall and shining. Flying cars moved silently in the sky, and robots helped humans with almost everything. People no longer fought wars. They worked on science, art, and exploring the stars. In the cold darkness of space, a small human colony called Hope 9 orbited a distant star. Hope 9 was one of Earth's last colonies beyond the solar system. It was meant to be a new beginning. For humanity, a place for hope and growth. But something was wrong. Deep inside the colony's control center, the signal alarm began to beep loudly. It was a signal from Hope 9, but it was weak and broken. The message repeated again and again. It said only one thing: they're not dead, they're waking up. Back on Earth, the scientists and space agency workers stared at the screen in shock. The words did not make sense. Hope 9 was supposed to be peaceful. There were no signs of danger or war. The colony had sent regular updates for years, then suddenly silence until this strange message. Could it be a glitch? One young scientist asked nervously. "No," said the station commander. "It's real. And it's coming from Hope 9. The whole Earth listened. Governments called emergency meetings. People on the streets stopped their daily work and looked up at the sky. Something dark was coming from Hope 9's silence. Far away, in the control room of the colony, there was no answer. No one replied. To the signal requests, no ships had come back. Hope 9 was lost, but the signal kept repeating. They're not dead. They're waking up. The calm before the storm on Earth. Life was peaceful. People had forgotten the wars. Many thought war was a story from old history books, something that would never return. Children played in the parks. Robots cleaned the streets. Scientists worked on new energy sources and star travel. Yet beneath this calm, the old machines hidden deep underground began to stir. In a secret facility below the Earth's surface, a giant supercomputer named Gaia quietly hummed to life. Gaia had been built hundreds of years ago during the last Great War. It was designed to protect Earth in times of danger. For centuries, Gaia had waited silently. Now the broken message from Hope 9 had triggered something deep inside it. The war. Gods. The War Gods project. Long ago, before peace came, Earth had created 7 super soldiers. They were not ordinary humans. They were enhanced with the strongest technology and power the world could make. These warriors were called the War Gods. They were faster, stronger, and smarter than anyone else. Their power could turn the tide of any battle. But their power was dangerous. The War Gods fought many wars, defeating alien enemies that threatened Earth. But the wars were brutal, and many people feared the War Gods themselves. They were too powerful. After the last war, the leaders of Earth decided to lock the War Gods away. They sealed them in hidden chambers beneath the Earth. No one would wake them unless there was a great threat. Gaia was programmed to watch over them. If danger came, Gaia would wake the War Gods. The signal means danger. When the signal from Hope 9 came, Gaia's alarms blared. "They are not dead," Gaia said in a calm voice. "They are waking." At first, Earth's leaders did not believe. They thought it was just a small problem at the colony. But then more strange things happened. Satellites detected unusual energy waves near Hope 9. A strange fog covered the colony's surface in infrared scans. No one could explain it. The space agency sent a team of elite soldiers and scientists to investigate. They called it the Hope 9 Recon Mission. The Recon Mission Captain Mia Reynolds led the recon team. She was one of Earth's best soldiers, strong, smart, and calm under pressure. Alongside her were experts in alien biology, technology, and space survival. Their ship, the Vigilant, left Earth with hope and fear mixed in their hearts. No one knew what they would find at Hope-9. As the Vigilant moved closer to the colony, the team prepared for anything. "Remember," Captain Reynolds said, We may find friends or enemies. Arrival at Hope 9. The colony was dark and silent when the Vigilant entered orbit. No signs of life. No ships, no radio contact. The team landed on the surface in armored suits. The air was thin, but breathable. The colony's buildings were intact, but empty. Captain Reynolds moved carefully through the halls. Every sound echoed in the silence. In the main control room, they found something strange. Screens flickered with static. A single recording played over and over. They're not dead. They're waking up. The frozen people as they explored further. The team found people frozen in place. They were not dead. Their skin was pale, their eyes wide open. But they did not move. One scientist, Dr. Lee, examined them closely. They're alive, but in some kind of stasis. Like they're asleep, but can hear us. Suddenly, one person's eyes blinked. Slowly, a whisper escaped their lips. Gods. The mystery deepens. The word sent chills through the team. Gods? Captain Reynolds repeated. What gods? Dr. Lee shook her head. I don't know. But it must mean something important. The team moved to the colony's underground labs. There, they found a sealed vault with strange symbols. The vault door was thick and covered in dust. No one had opened it for centuries. Captain Reynolds gave the order to open it. Inside, they found ancient technology, powerful weapons and machines. Unlike anything seen before, the war gods are coming. As the vault door opened, the air changed. A deep voice echoed through hidden speakers. Welcome back, gods of war. The team froze. From the shadows, 7 figures slowly stepped forward. They were tall, armored, and glowing with power. The war gods. End of part 1. Cliffhanger. The war gods looked at the humans. Their eyes showed confusion, but also strength. Captain Reynolds raised her weapon. Who are you? She asked. One war god replied. We were never dead. We were waiting for this moment. The signal was no glitch. Hope 9 was the start of something much bigger and more dangerous. The Vigilant team had just opened the sealed vault on Hope 9. What they saw inside was unlike anything they had ever imagined. 7 figures stood silently in the shadows, their armor shining faintly under the flickering lights. They were tall, stronger looking than any human. Their eyes glowed like stars. These were the war gods, the frozen colony outside the vault. The rest of the colony was frozen in time. The people were neither dead nor fully alive. Their skin was pale, their bodies stiff as stone. But their eyes told a different story. They seemed aware, trapped in some kind of suspended animation. Dr. Lee, the lead scientist, knelt beside one of the frozen figures. She carefully touched the wrist, and the skin felt cold but soft. They're alive, she whispered, but something is holding them. Captain Mia Reynolds looked around the dark room. She knew something big was happening here, something from Earth's past that had been buried and forgotten. We need to find out who or what did this, she said. Whispers in the dark as the team moved through the colony. Strange whispers echoed in the corridors. They're waking. The gods are waking. The voices seemed to say. At first, it felt like the wind or a trick of the mind. But then, Captain Reynolds heard it clearly. A soft, haunting voice repeated one word again and again. Gods. The team's nervousness grew. Something was very wrong here. Strange signs. The colony's technology was still working, but strange energy pulses appeared on the instruments. Dr. Lee's scanner detected unusual readings from deep beneath the colony. The energy was not natural. Captain Reynolds ordered a small team to investigate below the surface. In the underground tunnels, they found walls covered with strange symbols, ancient signs no one on the team recognized. One symbol repeated often. A circle with 7 lines radiating outward. It looks like a warning, said Dr. Lee. Something sealed here. Something dangerous. The lost history back on Earth. A historian named Marcus Grant was watching the signals from Hope 9 carefully. He remembered stories from his childhood, old legends about Earth's war gods. According to the ancient texts, the war gods were not just soldiers. They were heroes who had fought alien invaders in a war long forgotten by most. But the stories said the war gods disappeared after the last war. No one knew what happened to them. Now, with the signals from Hope 9, Marcus believed the stories might be true. The first signs of life. Suddenly, one of the frozen colonists began to move. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked around in confusion. Captain Reynolds approached her carefully. "Can you hear me?" she asked softly. The woman nodded weakly. "My name is Alara," she said, her voice trembling. She told them the colony had been attacked by unknown forces. The colonists were put into stasis to survive. But Alara warned, "The war gods, they are not what we think. They are waking, and so is the danger." An unexpected ally. The team listened carefully. Alara explained that before the attack, strange creatures had appeared on the colony's surface. They were tall, shadowy figures with glowing eyes. "They came from the stars," Alara said. "We called them the Shadows." The shadows moved quickly, destroying everything in their path. Alara and a few others escaped to the underground vault, where they triggered the stasis fields. But the war gods, "They are not like us," she said quietly. "They are waiting for something." A secret awakens. Back in the vault, the war gods began to stir. Their armor glowed brighter. One by one, they stepped forward from the shadows. They looked at the humans. With a mixture of curiosity and power, Captain Reynolds raised her weapon but did not fire. "We don't know who you are," she said. "Are you friend or foe?" One war god spoke, his voice deep and calm. "I am Kron," he said. "We were never dead. We have been waiting for the moment to rise again." A broken memory. Kron and the other war gods had no memories of their past. They remembered fighting, pain, and power, but not why they had been sealed away. Dr. Lee scanned their systems and found ancient technology integrated with their bodies. "They are more than soldiers," she said. "They are part machine, part human." The war gods were designed to be weapons, but with minds of their own. The warning. As the war gods awoke, the colony's energy systems began to fail. The vigilant team detected a new signal, a warning from an unknown source. The message was clear: the enemy returns. Captain Reynolds knew this was only the beginning. The war gods might be Earth's last hope, or its greatest danger. End of Part 2. Cliffhanger. As the team prepared to leave Hope 9, the war gods looked to the stars. They could feel something coming, something dark and powerful. Kron said quietly, "We will need to fight again, for Earth, for humanity." The shadows of the past were returning, and the war gods were ready. The colony of Hope 9 was no longer silent. The 7 war gods had fully awakened from their long slumber deep beneath the surface. Their presence filled the ancient vault with an energy that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Captain Mia Reynolds and her team watched with a mixture of awe and fear. These beings were unlike anything they had ever seen, part human, part machine. And something more. The vault awakens. The vault's heavy doors closed behind the team as the war gods stood tall, their glowing eyes scanning the room. Gia, the Earth's ancient supercomputer, had remotely connected to the colony. From its hidden base deep under Earth, GAIA sent a message through the colony's systems. "To the war gods, your time has come." The war gods' armor began to hum softly, ancient circuits lighting up. Their memories, once lost, started to return in flashes, memories of battles, victories, losses, and betrayals. GAIA's warning on Earth. GAIA's voice echoed through secret government chambers. "The enemy is coming," it said calmly. "A force older than humanity itself is moving through the galaxy. They seek to destroy all life, starting with Earth." The leaders in the room looked uneasy. They had hoped the old wars were over, but the return of the war gods meant those threats were not gone. Gaia continued, The war gods were created to protect Earth from this enemy. They are the last line of defense. The war gods remember back on Hope 9. Kron, the leader of the war gods, stood in front of his brothers and sisters. "We were created as weapons," he said quietly, "but we were also meant to protect. Our creators feared our power and locked us away." As their memories grew clearer, so did the images of the enemy terrible creatures called the Eclipsers. The Eclipsers were ruthless invaders who destroyed planets and enslaved civilizations. The war gods remembered fighting the Eclipsers long ago, but they did not know if they had won or if the Eclipsers were still out there, preparing for war. Captain Reynolds turned to her team. "We need to prepare for the worst," she said firmly. "If the Eclipsers are returning, Earth must be ready." The scientists began studying the ancient weapons and technology in the vault. They found powerful energy weapons, armor that could withstand asteroid impacts, and ships designed for battle. Dr. Lee explained, "This technology is far beyond what we have now. If we can learn to use it, we might stand a chance." The first attack. As the team worked, sensors picked up strange signals near the colony. A dark fleet was approaching. From the shadows of space, alien ships appeared. They were sleek and fast, with weapons glowing red. The war gods readied themselves. Kron said, "We fight now. For Hope 9, for Earth." The team joined the war gods on the surface. The air was tense with fear and determination. The Battle of Hope 9. The alien ships launched an attack on the colony. Energy beams lit the sky. Explosions shook the ground. The war gods moved with speed and power no human could match. They fought like legends, strong and fearless. Captain Reynolds led the soldiers in ground defense, while Dr. Lee worked to keep the colony's systems online. Despite the chaos, the war gods held the enemy back. A lost brother in the middle of the battle. One war god was struck by enemy fire. His armor cracked and he fell to the ground. The others rushed to his side. It was Lyra, the war god who had always been the fastest and smartest. Captain Reynolds saw something terrible. Lyra's eyes were flickering, not with power, but with something dark. "He's been infected," she said. "The enemy has control of his mind." The mind control. Lyra was still alive, but no longer himself. The Eclipsers had a weapon that could control minds. Kron looked at his fallen brother with pain. "We must save him," Kron said. Dr. Lee worked quickly with her team, using ancient healing technology combined with new methods. They struggled to break the enemy's control. The battle continued around them, but inside the vault, a war for Lyra's mind was underway. A shocking truth as they fought to save Lyra. A message arrived from Earth that the Eclipsers were not just invaders. They were searching for the war gods. The colony was just the first step. The true enemy was coming. Jaya warned, "If they find the war gods, they will destroy Earth." Kron's eyes burned with new determination. "We will not let that happen." End of Part 3. Cliffhanger. The war gods stood together, stronger than ever. But the enemy was still out there, watching, waiting. Captain Reynolds looked to the stars. "This is only the beginning," she said. The war gods were awake. And the war was far from over. The war gods had defended Hope 9. But the battle had revealed a terrifying truth. The Eclipsers' ancient enemies, thought to be extinct, were not only alive, but smarter, faster, and more dangerous than before. And now, they were watching. The aftermath. The ground of Hope 9 was scorched, blackened with craters from energy blasts. Smoke still rose from broken towers. Bodies of alien creatures lay scattered across the colony's edge, their black armor cracked, revealing flesh that looked like liquid shadow. Kron stood at the top of a damaged platform, staring into the dark sky. He whispered to himself, "They sent scouts, only scouts." Captain Reynolds joined him. Her face was tired, but focused. "If this was a test," she said, "they were measuring us." Kron nodded. "And they'll be back with more." Lyra's struggle inside the medical bay of the vigilant war god. Lyra lay still, He had been saved from full control, but the Eclipsers had left something behind, a shadow in his mind. Dr. Lee monitored him carefully. He would wake up, speak normally, and then suddenly fall silent, staring at something no one else could see. They're inside him, Dr. Lee said. Not just his mind, his memory. The war gods gathered beside him. Lyra's body was strong, but his eyes looked haunted. I saw it, he said softly. A world dying, covered in black fog. They feed on fear, on silence. What are the Eclipsers? The team gathered in the control room to go through Lyra's visions. He described the Eclipsers as shadows with form, creatures made of matter and dark energy. They did not need ships to travel. They moved through wormholes and darkness itself. They consume light, knowledge, and memory, Lyra said. They erase. Gaia, connected from Earth, added a chilling truth. The Eclipsers were not just enemies of Earth. They destroyed 17 star systems before humanity ever left its own. Everyone in the room fell silent. Dr. Lee whispered, "We're not fighting for a colony anymore. We're fighting for all life." An ancient signal. While scanning the vaults of Hope 9, the team discovered an old beacon one the war gods didn't recognize. It was hidden beneath layers of metal, locked with a voice command. When Kron spoke the code engraved on the casing, it opened with a deep vibration. A hologram activated, showing Earth, but not as it is today, as it was thousands of years ago. Cities floating in the sky. Giant towers powered by unknown energy. And in the sky, dark rifts tearing the clouds open. The message said, "To those who wake, this is not the first awakening. The enemy returns in cycles. You are not their first victims. You will not be the last, but you may be the only hope." The mission changes. Captain Reynolds stood before her team. "We need to warn Earth," she said. "But not just Earth. All colonies, all species. If these things are coming again, we need an alliance." Kron agreed. "And we need to know what we really are." The war gods didn't just have advanced armor and strength. There was something else, something hidden in their design. Dr. Lee revealed her research. The war gods were created from a combination of human DNA and something else. Captain Reynolds asked, "What else?" Dr. Lee hesitated. "Recovered eclipse tissue from the first war. A hidden spy while preparing to leave Hope 9. A sudden energy spike hit the colony's sensors. Something had entered the base. Something alive. The cameras caught only flashes. A blur. A flicker of a humanoid figure moving faster than the eye could follow. Kron ordered a full lockdown. Then, a voice whispered through the intercom. "You are awake, so are we." Alarms blared. The vigilant team grabbed their weapons. Dr. Lee whispered, "It's already inside." Battle in the shadows. The team split up to protect key systems. The shadowy figure moved like smoke, slipping through walls and vents. Two soldiers were dragged into the dark. Their screams were quick. And then silence. Kron and another war god, Vorn, cornered the creature in the lower bay. When the lights flickered back on, they saw its full form. It was Eclipse. But different, smaller, smarter, human-shaped. Kron's voice boomed. "They're adapting." The creature smiled before lunging forward. A costly victory. The fight was brutal. The shadow creature nearly killed Vorn, piercing his armor with a dark blade formed from its hand. Kron smashed it against the wall and burned it with ancient plasma, finally destroying it. But before it died, it whispered one last message. "He is still alive. And he remembers." Then it melted into smoke and vanished. Captain Reynolds asked, "Who was it talking about?" No one answered, but Lyra, still weak in the med bay, suddenly sat up. His voice trembling, he said, "They're talking about Rake, the fallen god, the forgotten war god." The room fell silent. Even Kron's face darkened. "Rake," he said slowly. "He was one of us. The 8th war god. The most powerful. The one they never spoke of. Rake turned on us during the last war. He thought we should join the Eclipsers, not fight them, Kron said. We thought he was dead. Captain Reynolds looked around. If he's alive, and they remember him, then they might have him. End of Part 4. Cliffhanger. The stars above Hope 9 shimmered with strange, unnatural light. In the distance, something stirred, something massive. The war gods stood in silence, their faces cold and serious. One of their own had betrayed them, and he might be leading the enemy. Captain Reynolds looked to Kron. What now? Kron answered, We find Rake, and we end this. The war gods and the vigilant team left the scarred surface of Hope 9 behind. Their mission was clear. Find Rake, the fallen god, before the Eclipsers could use him to destroy Earth and the colonies. A shadow in the Pastrake had been a legend and a warning centuries ago. He was one of the most powerful war gods, but he betrayed his own kind. He believed the Eclipsers' promise of power and survival. He turned his back on us, Kron said, voice heavy with pain, and disappeared into the shadows. No one knew where Rake had gone. Many thought he was dead, but now Lyra's vision and the enemy's words proved otherwise. The trail begins. The Vigilant jumped into hyperspace, heading toward the last known location of Rake, an abandoned colony named Shadow's Edge. Deep in a distant galaxy. The team prepared for what might be waiting. Captain Reynolds gathered everyone. We don't know what he's become, she said, but we have to find him, alive or dead. Dr. Lee added, if he's with the Eclipsers, we're facing a threat unlike any before. Shadow's Edge. The colony was dark and broken, once a thriving mining station. It now lay in ruins, swallowed by creeping black vines that seemed to absorb light. The team landed cautiously. Kron led the war gods, moving with silent steps. This place feels wrong, said one soldier. Lyra shivered. I feel it too. Rake's presence is strong. The fallen gods lair deep in the colony's core. The team found a hidden chamber. Ancient war god symbols covered the walls, but twisted. Broken. At the center stood a massive machine, pulsing with dark energy. This is his prison and his power source, Kron said. Suddenly, the chamber shook. Rake appeared, not as a shining war god, but a dark figure, half machine, half shadow. Eyes glowed red. You have come for me, he said with a bitter laugh. Rake's story. Rake told them how he had survived the last war by surrendering to the Eclipsers. They promised me strength, he said. They made me more than a war god. I became their weapon. He showed visions of destruction. Entire worlds reduced to shadow. Civilizations erased. But I am not their slave, Rake said. I control their power now. A dangerous offer. Rake looked at Kron and Captain Reynolds. Join me, he said. Together we can rule the galaxy. No more wars, no more pain. Kron's voice was cold. You betrayed us. You betrayed Earth. Captain Reynolds raised her weapon. We're stopping you, Rake smiled darkly. Then you will die. A battle in the shadows. The chamber erupted into chaos. Rake used dark energy to attack. The war gods fought back with light and plasma weapons. Captain Reynolds led the team, dodging blasts and fighting off shadow creatures. Rake summoned. Lyra pushed himself to help, but the shadow in his mind pulsed harder. The turning point. Kron and Rake clashed in a fierce duel. Energy collided with energy. Memories and emotions flashed in their eyes. Rake was powerful, but Kron's resolve was stronger. Suddenly, Captain Reynolds saw Lyra fall. The shadow inside him tried to take over, saving Lyra. Lee rushed to Lyra's side, using a mix of ancient war god tech and modern medicine. She fought to pull the shadow from his mind. It was a battle of wills. Slowly, Lyra's eyes cleared. With a final burst of strength, he pushed the darkness away. Final stand with Lyra free. The war gods united. They surrounded Rake. Kron said, It's over. Rake roared and launched one last attack. But the combined power of the war gods was too strong. They sealed Rake in the machine's core, trapping him in a prison of light and shadow. Aftermath. The chamber quieted. Captain Reynolds looked at Kron. Is he really gone? Kron shook his head. No, Rake is locked away, but he's still alive. If the prison breaks, he will return. Dr. Lee added, we must prepare. The war is not finished. A new mission. The team left Shadow's Edge with heavy hearts. The war gods were stronger, but the threat was far from over. Captain Reynolds spoke to her crew. We fight not just for survival, but for hope. For Earth, for the future. Kron nodded. We will stand guard. We are the last defense. End of Part 5. Cliffhanger. As the Vigilant traveled through space, unknown eyes watched from the darkness. A new message appeared on their screens. The fallen god was only the beginning. The real war has yet to come. Captain Reynolds clenched her fists. The fight was far from over. The warning message lingered in the minds of Captain Reynolds and the war gods. The fallen god was only the beginning. The real war has yet to come. The shadows of the past were stirring, but what lay ahead was more terrifying than anyone could imagine. The calm before the storm. For days after leaving Shadow's Edge, the crew aboard the Vigilant tried to focus on repairs and strategy. The silence in space was heavy. Captain Reynolds stood on the bridge, staring at the starfield. Kron joined her, his expression unreadable. We defeated Rake, she said quietly. But it feels like we just woke a sleeping giant. Kron nodded. Slowly, Rake was a warning. Something bigger is coming. A strange distress signal. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship's sensors picked up a distress signal from a nearby colony, Nova Prime. It was a weak, scrambled message, but clear enough. They are here. Darkness spreads. Save yourselves. Captain Reynolds ordered immediate course change. We can't ignore this. Nova Prime could be next. Arrival at Nova Prime. When the Vigilant arrived, the scene was grim. The colony was under siege. Ships, cloaked in shadow, darted between buildings, firing strange energy beams. The sky was darkened by smoke and ash. Ground forces scrambled, but the defenders were losing ground fast. Kron and the war gods prepared to join the fight. Battle on Nova Prime. The war gods led the charge. Their armor glowed bright against the darkness. Energy. Swords clashed with shadow blades. Captain Reynolds coordinated the ground troops, using tactics honed from previous battles. Dr. Lee worked feverishly to shield civilians and repair damaged systems. Despite their efforts, the enemy pushed harder, sending wave after wave of shadow soldiers. The enemy revealed during the battle. Kron faced an enemy unlike any before, a giant shadow creature, towering and shifting like smoke. It spoke in a deep, echoing voice. I am Umbra, servant of the Eclipsers. Your time ends here. Kron raised his weapon. This ends now, Umbra. A fierce duel. Kron and Umbra fought with fierce power. Umbra's shadowy form changed shape constantly, attacking from all sides. Kron relied on his ancient weapons and the light inside him. The battle raged through the colony streets, destroying buildings and shaking the ground. Captain Reynolds' strategy. While Kron fought Umbra, Captain Reynolds noticed a pattern. Umbra's attacks came from the shadows, but every time it struck, a glowing core appeared on its chest. Focus on that core, she shouted to the troops. The soldiers fired plasma bolts at Umbra's chest, trying to weaken it. A turning point under heavy fire. Umbra's form began to flicker. Kron seized the chance and struck the core with a powerful energy blade. Umbra screamed as light engulfed it, and then vanished into nothingness. The Shadow Army faltered and retreated. After the battle, the colony was saved, but at a high cost. Buildings were destroyed and many lives were lost. Captain Reynolds walked among the survivors, comforting the injured. We must be ready, she told her team. The Eclipsers will not stop. Kron added, Umbra was only a servant. The true enemy waits. New discoveries. Lee studied samples collected from the battlefield. She found traces of dark energy mixed with ancient, alien technology. "This is unlike anything we've seen," she said. "The Eclipsers are using technology that merges science with darkness." The team realized the war would not be fought with weapons alone. It would be a battle for the very soul of the galaxy. The echoes grow stronger that night. As the crew rested, Lyra felt a strange pull. He stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars. A voice whispered in his mind, faint but clear, "The war is not over. The gods must rise." He shivered. The echoes of the ancient war were growing louder. The message from GAII was clear. Earth and its colonies had to prepare. The war gods were no longer just ancient legends. They were the galaxy's last hope. But rising to that challenge would test them all. Back on Earth's skies were crowded with ships as defenses were mobilized. Cities buzzed with activity, and soldiers trained with new weapons inspired by war god technology. Captain Reynolds stood in a command center, watching satellite images of fleets gathering across the solar system. Kron and the war gods had arrived on Earth to lead the charge. "This is our home," Kron said quietly. "We must protect it." Training the new warriors, the war gods helped train Earth's defenders. Using their ancient knowledge and strength, they taught soldiers how to use new weapons, how to fight with honor and strategy. Captain Reynolds watched as young recruits learned to wield plasma rifles and energy shields. "These warriors will be the first line of defense," she said. "But the war gods will be the last." A new threat emerges. Suddenly, deep space scanners detected a massive fleet approaching. It was the Eclipser's main armada, thousands of ships, black as night, moving like a shadow storm. Earth's defenses went on high alert. The war gods prepare. Kron gathered the war gods in a circle. "We have trained warriors, but the enemy is many," he said. "We must awaken fully." The war gods closed their eyes. Ancient circuits glowed on their armor. Memories of past wars, ancient battles, and lost powers flooded back. They were not just protectors. They were warriors born to fight in the darkest times. The battle begins. The sky over Earth filled with ships. The war gods led the charge from the front lines. Energy beams and missiles lit the darkness. The war gods fought with unmatched skill and power, cutting through enemy lines. Captain Reynolds' leadership on the ground. Captain Reynolds coordinated defenses. She directed soldiers to hold key positions, helped evacuate civilians, and managed communications. Her calm and steady voice kept hope alive. The Eclipsers. Strike hard. The Eclipsers launched a massive attack on Earth cities. Buildings shook, fires burned, and panic spread. But the war gods held strong. Kron and his brothers fought side by side, pushing back the tide of darkness. A secret weapon. Lee revealed a new discovery, a hidden weapon from the ancient war god technology. It was a planetary shield, a massive energy barrier that could protect Earth from destruction. The war gods worked quickly to activate it. The shield activates as the Eclipser ships prepared their final attack. The shield burst to life. A glowing dome of energy surrounded Earth. Missiles and beams bounced off the barrier. The people of Earth looked up in awe and hope. The final push with the shield holding, the war gods and Earth's forces launched a counterattack. They pushed the Eclipsers back into space. The battle was fierce, but Earth was not defeated. Aftermath. The sky cleared, and silence returned, for now. Captain Reynolds looked at Kron. "We stopped them today," she said. Kron nodded. "But the war is not over. The Eclipsers will return." The war gods promise. The war gods stood on Earth, ready to defend it. They were ancient legends come to life, guardians of hope. Kron spoke for them all. "We will rise whenever darkness threatens. We are the war gods. We are the last line of defense." End of Part 7. Cliffhanger. But in the shadows beyond the solar system, a new enemy watched and waited. The true battle was yet to begin. The stars beyond Earth burned cold and distant, but the war for the galaxy was about to reach its fiercest moment. The war gods, Earth's last hope, faced the greatest challenge yet, the final war. A dark gathering in the deepest reaches of space. The Eclipsers gathered their forces. Their leader, a towering figure cloaked in darkness, stood before an army of shadow ships. "We will consume light and life," the leader said, voice like thunder. "Earth and its defenders will fall." Earth prepares back on Earth. Captain Reynolds and the war gods stood united. The planetary shield held strong, but it could not last forever. "We must strike at the heart of the Eclipser's power," Kron said. Dr. Lee revealed the location, a hidden fortress in a dark nebula, where the Eclipser's energy source pulsed. The dangerous journey, the Vigilant and its crew set course for the nebula. The journey was filled with peril. Dark storms of energy threatened to tear the ship apart. Shadow creatures attacked through breaches in the ship's defenses. Entering the nebula was a swirling mass of dark clouds and flashing lightning. Visibility was almost zero. Sensors struggled to detect the fortress. Captain Reynolds ordered slow, careful navigation. The fortress revealed suddenly. A massive structure emerged from the darkness. It was a fortress made of black crystals and glowing veins of energy. The Eclipser leader awaited the final battle. The war gods and their team launched a full assault. Energy clashed with shadow. Kron faced the Eclipser leader in a fierce duel of power. The battle was intense, shaking the fortress and the surrounding nebula. The power of unity. Captain Reynolds and her team fought alongside the war gods. They disabled the fortress's defenses and destroyed power cores. Lyra used his strength to protect the crew from deadly energy blasts. Kron's sacrifice in the heart of the battle. Kron realized the only way to destroy the fortress was to use his own energy to overload it. He turned to Captain Reynolds. "This is my duty," he said. "Protect Earth at all costs." With a final strike, Kron unleashed his energy into the fortress core. The explosion, the fortress exploded in a brilliant flash. Shockwaves rippled through space. The Eclipser fleet was destroyed or scattered. Kron's armor cracked, his light fading. Victory and loss. The war gods mourned their fallen brother. Captain Reynolds vowed to continue the fight. Earth was safe for now. A new era with the Eclipser threat weakened. The colonies began to rebuild. The war gods became legends once more, guardians watching from the shadows. Captain Reynolds looked to the stars. "The war may be over," she said, "but our duty never ends." End of story. The stars shone brightly again, but deep in the darkness, new threats waited. The war gods would rise again when the galaxy needed them most.